Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to another episode of the Sara Show. I am so excited because today we have the first ever guest on this podcast.
Woo.
We have the wonderful Antoinette Jackman.
Yay!
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited for our chat.
I look at yourself all the time and I'm like, I told you, I look at it and I forget that it's not a TV show.
Yeah.
So I was like,
She's being very kind.
No, I mean it.
She's just watched me set up several broken, falling apart cameras.
And you did it beautifully because if my camera fell apart, it's staying falling apart until someone comes home to help. So
thank you so much. Thank you. And as we were chatting, as we were like just catching up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the actual conversation that I want to be able to share. I feel like we always have, you always really inspire me. You really, from day one. Oh my gosh, can I tell you how we first met?
Tell me.
So we went to drama school, for those of you who don't know.
We did.
Part-time drama school together. And the class that I was in, this drama school would like tier the classes. So the class that I was in, they would tell us to go and watch the professional class, the T1 class. And so I went to watch. And I remember you were doing a scene. What was it called where you light yourself on fire?
Oh, Parliament Square.
Yes.
Parliament Square.
Yeah. And to this day, when I think back to that scene where you were acting, in my head, you lit yourself on fire. And obviously you didn't, because this was like a theatre school production. Like you were not on fire, but I cannot differentiate the feeling that you gave and the performance that you gave, the genuine horror of that scene and emotion of it. My memory can't differentiate it from you actually being on fire. And every now and then I think back to it and I'm like, no, she wasn't on fire. But in my mind, like, there was fire and it was you. You were the fire. You were so talented. Me and all of my class were just like, oh my gosh, she's amazing, she's amazing, she's amazing. And I think I came up to you afterwards and I was like, you were amazing. And then I was like, Sara, stop being a creep, stop being a fan. But being a creep and a fan gets you here. So
that's so lovely. I don't think I knew that actually.
Really?
No.
Me and Zarina literally talked about it a lot.
I don't think I knew that. Coming off that performance, because it was such an emotive performance and so physically demanding, it was all a bit of a blur at the end of that night. Yeah. And my mum was there and she was so going, oh, I feel he's in a lot of pain, and just like just buying into it quite well. And I was like, no, Mum, I'm fine. So yeah, that night's a bit of a blur, but thank you.
I honestly think that was like that was a performance that truly lives in my head, like is cemented in my head. And I mean that even when I think of professional shows that I've paid to go and see, because I was like, oh, that's possible. It's possible to be so transported into this moment while I'm watching this live thing happen. And that was just your raw talent coming through. So yeah, thanks. I can't believe you didn't know that. It's good that I told you, because that is a big memory for me.
People came up to me after, but I think I was just, one of the jokers in our class, I think you remember him. I was backstage and I wanted to look like I'd put paraffin all over me, like stuff all over me, and the water wasn't cutting it. So I had this baby oil that I was rubbing in. And so I rubbed it in, but then the water came off, and I said to him, oh, could you put a bit of water on us? You know who I'm talking about. And he was like, you want a bit of water? I was like, just a little.
Oh no.
Whole thing, hair. Curly hair can't do that. And I just went drowned right. I was like, that should be good. Yeah. So I kind of went on stage a little bit like,
it was giving.
Yeah.
It was giving all that we needed.
Yeah, I owe part of it to him.
That's amazing. So obviously, not everyone listening to this show knows you as well as I do. I mean, I still have much to learn, or I'm excited to learn in this podcast. But one of the reasons I've asked you to be on this podcast is because not only are you an incredibly talented writer, actor, director, you are a mum of 3. You are now a retired teacher, and you're very much on this journey that I've been talking about here on the show of going from being in a full-time, full-on career to being a working artist. Yeah. And I know that as much as I share my story, there are lots of people who listen to and watch this podcast, who won't be able to relate to some of my stories. Some people would be like, oh, that's lovely for you, Sara, but you don't have kids, or you don't have this, or you don't know what it's like. And so I think the more that we can kind of share, hey, this is my experience, because all of our experiences will be unique. They will all have different challenges. The more that we can all grow together. And so I know that there's so much that you have learned and that you have to share. And some of it I think you probably won't have even realised, because you'll just be living your life and then you won't realise how helpful that is to someone else. So thank you so much for coming onto this show to share that experience. So where do we start? First things first, how did you get into acting?
I started when I was 13.
Yeah.
Blousy Brown in Bugsy Malone.
Okay.
And then I thought, I'm going to be an actor. And then it got to about university time, and my drama teacher was like, you should go to drama school, you should apply. And I was like, oh, I don't think I can. And then I applied to Central School and I got in.
Amazing.
And I didn't go.
Wait, what?
Serious imposter syndrome. I got there and the place was complete. No one looked like me at all or sounded like me. Let's be really clear. I've got a Cockney accent now, but it was even more so when I was 18.
Because you were from East London.
Yeah. And I turned up, and the course leaders were beautiful. They were amazing people, but I just didn't feel comfortable.
You did a few lessons, or?
No. I turned up to the audition, and at the time there was some funding, and they said, look, we're going to pay for you to do the course. Come in and join us. And I went back to my drama teacher and I said, I just don't feel comfortable. And she was like, give it time. And I was just like, I don't want that. And also, Sis Cottage is like a 20-minute journey from my mum's house. And I knew that at that point in my life, I needed to leave home.
Okay.
I love home, I love my mum, but I just needed the space. And so I went to another university, it was a bit further away, got to live in halls and do the whole university experience. And then I thought, but I'll get back to acting once I've had a good time.
So what did you study at?
So I got in through clearing, because obviously this was overlapping things. And I got on a media course, wanted to be on a drama course. There was no space. And so I knocked every day on the dean's office, like, drama. And then he let me on, because he was like, you can't keep coming here. And I got on the course. It was an interesting course. And then I was like, I'm going to act. And then as I left university and I came home back to East London, and I was just looking at things, and I thought, I really want a mortgage and I really want a family. I know that sounds really... And I knew I was going to do acting first and teaching second. That was the way round my life was going to go. And then I realised, like, my biological clock just started ticking pretty quick.
Because you went straight in, right, at 17, 18?
Yeah, I went straight into university, straight from college. And then when I came home, I did a year's temp in. And I'd been with my partner since I was 16. And I was just like, I'm going to start teaching now. Because if I need to get a mortgage and have kids, I need a stable job. I need to be, And
you were like 21, 22? Wow.
Yeah.
Thinking about mortgages.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
To be fair, I think I was at that age as well.
Yeah. I think I was thinking about marriage and all these things. Because East London's not the most settled place to live. I love it, but it's also quite triggering sometimes when I go back there, because it's quite chaotic at times. And I think I needed stability. I needed that grounding. And I thought that having a home and kids and a mortgage would be that grounding that I needed. And acting could just happen on the side.
So why teaching?
I always wanted to be a teacher. My drama teachers were always so inspiring. And teaching drama would be... I thought it would quench the thirst long enough to allow me to get the mortgage and all the kids and stuff. And I was right. It did quench a lot of that thirst.
So I love that you've had these dual dreams, actually, because it sounds like the teaching, while it also quenched the thirst of doing acting for a while, when you say that you loved your teachers, that sounds like an inspiration of its own, in its own right, to pass on the baton to someone else, to inspire someone else. That's a calling in itself. Was that something that you felt at all?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I went to this school that I got into, I thought, it's not hard enough enough. It's not rugged enough. There are kids that need me more than this school, but there was just such a pull. The kids needed me and needed teachers, drama teachers, in a different way. It's not an art school, it's a science school. So I just thought, no, they're going to love drama. I'm going to make them love drama. And then I went there, and I think that I wanted to pay homage to those drama teachers that had put something in me that wasn't there. It really wasn't there before. I was a really shy, painfully shy child. And my sister, people would come up to me and go, "What's your name?" And she'd be like, "Oh, her name's Anna." That's what she called me, Anna. And I'm Lona. and she would just talk for me.
Older sister?
Younger.
Young. Do you know what? That is the way,
She's
isn't
bolshy,
it?
still
so
bolshy.
are you the oldest sibling?
I'm the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, and my brother's older, actually. Sorry, my brother's like 50 now.
Yeah.
So I was so shy, and then these two drama teachers, Vanessa and Sharon, just pulled it out of me, and I was just like, yeah, thank you so much. And then when I met Miss Owen and Miss Clark, they rooted in me the deep seeds of like, this is what I want to do on such a level that it just kind of like took my breath away. I just like, this is it, this is the thing, this is the North Star, this is it.
Yeah, the teaching or
just the drama.
Yeah.
And then when I realised I needed stability, I was like, I can do what they did for me for somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for like nearly 19 years.
19. You know what? It's because you're so young. I can't, because you got into it young, right? You got into teaching young, you started a family. I mean, we say young these days in 2025. It's back in the day, it would be just standard, right? 'Cause how old, if you don't mind?
I was 25 when I started teaching. I'm 44 now.
Yeah.
It seemed normal. There was loads of people on my course my age. It was the thing to do.
Wow. Because you've got 3 children.
Yeah.
How old is the eldest?
17.
17.
Very nearly 18.
Okay.
She keeps telling me.
I love that.
And then we've got a 13-year-old, just turned 13, and a 4-year-old who's going to be 5 very soon.
Wow. So you've got all of the emotions.
I've got primary school, secondary school, college, thinking about uni.
Oh my goodness.
We're rocking and rolling.
And then in the midst of all that, you decided about a year and a half ago that it was time to give up the teaching. It was time to retire. How did you come to that decision? Because there's no right time, right?
There's no right time.
So what was your process from, if you say 3 years ago, where were you at mentally with the teaching and the acting?
3 years ago is a year into COVID.
Yeah. It is. I forgot.
So I gave birth in COVID.
Tony.
I know it's a fun thing to do. I'm telling you. If it ever, and then I gave birth, and then had this beautiful moment where I could have my village around the baby, and they got to bond with him so beautifully, and I felt so grateful to have that. And my husband got more than 2 weeks paternity, and he's just like,
that still baffles me. 2 weeks is insane.
He loved it. They bonded so well, and we just kind of like cocooned out in the house. So everyone was really stressed during that time, and I could see that. But for us, is what we needed. Needed that time. And then I got back to work, and the minute I got back into work, I was like, I'm going to start going to drama school. And I said to my husband, I'm signing up drama school, and he was like, washing dishes, going, yeah, okay. And then the next day I was like, I've signed up. He was like, what?
Really?
And I was like, yeah, I've got an audition online next week, or something. It was 2 weeks later. And I called my mum, and she was like, okay.
How old was baby at this time?
I think it's 1.
When you say your husband was like, what? Was he like, what as in, like, don't go?
Like, what? I don't know what the what. I think the what might have been, oh, you really mean it? Or the baby's 1. Or you've been promoted at work.
So what made you do that?
So I went back to work, and it just wasn't the same. You know, there were people wearing masks. Everyone was sanitizing. It felt very sanitary. It was very kind of not the warmth that I used to use. I was used to at work. I think that made me feel like this is the time to leap. And kids write cards to me all the time. They're so good and so beautiful, and especially Christmas and all those times. And one of the kids had written, I love you very much, miss, and I can't wait to see you on stage.
Aww.
Which is, to be honest with you, kids are the sweetest. They write the most beautiful things. And I was like, I put it on my fridge at home. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I'm going to go and do this course. And and then was like on the train every night, going to this course and getting up in the morning and going to teaching.
Which is, do you know what? You saying that, you mentioning that card from that child, one of the best ways to teach and to lead is by example. So you've been teaching this child to act and to do it and to go for it, and then they've written this thing out of love, out of admiration for you, and you've from my perspective hearing this, you've held yourself accountable by putting that on that fridge of like, oh, this is it, this is the next thing. Have they seen you on stage since? or any of your?
They haven't yet. No,
Yeah,
they keep when I see them, because when I drop off my kids, I see them in the area and they're like, "What's on? When are you on? Let us know." And I will reach back to them when there's something that I think that is for their age group.
Yeah, that is very true. Gotta stay appropriate.
Yeah, stay completely appropriate. Not that I do anything that's not appropriate, but But I do think that they hold me accountable, and also a lot of the A-level students that I taught before had gone off and done such creative things in the arts. So proud of them, and they'd come back, by themselves or with their kids, which is interesting, and say, "Oh, miss, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it, and I was doing this course, but then I told my parents, no, this is what I meant to do, and they're following their dreams." And I was like, that's really good, because I always taught them that when they're talking to their parents, remember, they're talking to people who have your best interests. They have fear as well.
Yes.
And you've got to show them that there is a way through. And I said, don't come at them, "Oh, this is my life." And I'll talk to them about how to talk to their parents, how to get the evidence that this could work. And so they used to come to me and say, it worked. One of the girls was going to be a dentist, and now she's flying high in creative media. She's earning 3 times as much. And that was her parents' thing, was like, are you going to earn enough money to look after yourself in this role? And then so she found a role and worked herself up, and she is earning big bucks.
That is amazing.
Big bucks.
This might be an assumption on my part.
Yeah.
Is this person from an ethnic community?
Yes.
Because that can be a real fear.
A real fear. And, she had 6 brothers and sisters, I think. So, the idea is that she was the eldest as well. Like, we need to set the standard.
And you helped her to do that.
To navigate that, because that was not her thing. Like, she was miserable.
Yeah.
And she'd found a company that would invest in her, and she'd created this pathway to show her parents, look, this is a pathway, and if I do this or give me this, just give me 3 years, she said to them. And if after 3 years I don't prove you right and I don't make you proud, then I'll come back and do what you want me to do. And they gave her 3 years, she did it in 2. And just so proud.
Do you know what that is? Okay, to prep for this little shindig we're doing here, I did have a little stalk of you. And I did find online a video of you giving advice for how people can teach in the classroom. I think it was during COVID.
Yeah.
And it actually made me a bit emotional to watch, because I was like, oh my gosh, to have a teacher like that. Because it was what you were saying about, like, lead with, if someone's behaviour is a bit off, trying to lead from a place of, like, of empathy and of rather than more telling them off, congratulating them for the things that they do well, and trying to bring that energy into the room, and bringing your passion into the room. And I just remember thinking, oh my goodness, her students are so lucky. And so to hear this story about this girl, I'm sure there are so many people listening to this now who are like, oh my gosh, I wish I had you. There are so many people, myself included. There was a time for me where I think I was in my 2nd or 3rd year of medical school, and I was doing, I was gigging, I was singing places. So I've always loved performing, and I would go around and gig. And I essentially, my dad had this chat with me of like, you need to focus on your degree. And I wouldn't have had a clue where to even start convincing them that there was a future in creativity and in artistry, and obviously I found my way there now, but for you to have been that light of like, this is the way, this is how you can have these conversations, this is how you can navigate that, especially for someone from a community which really values, I was going to say values education, but the arts are education as well, but values specific subjects within that field. It's just amazing that you've done that, and that you've lit that way.
I don't think about it like that all the time. I just feel like empowering students to be brave and to follow their gift. And a lot of the conversation was about God and whether the arts is valued by God. Sometimes that was a conversation, and I would always say, well, the gift is in you. This is in you. Where did it come from? Where does it come from? And is it your duty to spend it? And is it your duty to give it to the world? Because if it is your duty to give it to the world, then go forth, because he will let you know.
Oh my goodness!
If you're not on the right track, like when you let you know when he told you no. And I just said, and also, if you are a believer in God and you believe he created this world and that is your belief, then he's the greatest creator.
Wow.
So you're now telling me that God wouldn't like you creating. I don't know about that, And I'll just come back like that, and they were like, yeah. And to be honest with you, I went to the school and I never used to see many parents lining up outside the drama parents' evening space, because they'd be like, well, I don't want my child to do that. By the time I was in there, 3-4 years in, my line would be out the door, around the corner.
Really?
Like, parents are, what's going on? Why is my kid so into drama? What's going on? Why are they always talking about it? And then I used to invite the parents in to do some work and stuff. And by the end of it, like, you know, after I'd had people's, you know, uncles and aunts and this, oh, you taught my sister, you taught my brother, oh yeah, my mum knows you, my mum said to say hi, and then they're bringing me gifts in from home, cookies that were made and food that was made. When you become immersed in a community, like I really felt immersed in that community, they trust you that I'm not going to guide your child into a career that's going to harm them. If I think your child doesn't have like the thing that might propel them, I might just show them other avenues in the creative arts that might serve them. So I'll try and show them the tech side of it. I'll try and show them kind of like the television side of it. Or I might just say, okay, there are creative departments in every different company.
Oh, 100%.
Maybe your creativity is lent in this area, and just open it up a little bit more for them. But I'll never tell a kid, don't be creative. Because my job is to let them know that we are innately creative beings. And you know, when you're a kid and everything is possible, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be these things. And then as parents, we just drag it out of them. Like there aren't astronauts in the world. But you won't make it, my child. You'll be the one that doesn't make it. How would you say that to your child? Like, and it's fear, right? I'm a parent and I understand that. Like, my son is 4. I said, what do you want to be when you get older? He said, everything. I said, yes, let's go. I would like a slimmer list. Because I can't do all the clubs. I'm going to be every field, everything. But let's go. I'm hoping by the time he gets to 5 or 6, he starts slimming down to like. But right now, he said everything. We're going with everything.
I love that.
My daughter does French. None of this family speak French. She's fluent in French. She loves it. She wants to move there. She's like, what do I do with French? I don't know, but I will find out for you, and we will rock this together. And now we're all badly speaking French in the house. With each other. Our neighbour speaks fluent French. She comes in and she goes, I don't know what you've all just said. Like, she understands my daughter, but she doesn't understand us. And I'm like, really sorry, we're trying to create an environment for her. But yeah, I just think every time I went to work, I felt like there was more going on than just teaching. I think teaching is a calling, much like most jobs. You decide how much you're going to put in, and you decide what impact you want to have on people. And I'm relentless. I don't stop. I don't stop. When you come in that classroom, you're going to get the best deal from the minute you walk in to the minute you walk out. And if you had a bad day, I want to hear about it. And if there's something that's happened outside the classroom that stops you from being creative, I'm going to sort it out at break time, not now. So give me all your good stuff and we'll sort that out later. But the video you're talking about is a behaviour video that the National Theatre invited us to do. And it was talking about behaviour in drama, because I was behaviour lead as well. Amazing. So sometimes
you did say
I would have kids in the back of the classroom who have been really naughty in the day, and they need to chat, and I'm running Romeo and Juliet at the same time. So there's a prologue going on. I'm like, when what happened? What did she say? What did she say? Did she say that to you? That's awful. Okay, freeze. And there's that kind of this conversation. But I'm hoping that, because part of behaviour is a conversation. When we think of behaviour, we think of bad behaviour, but there's also good behaviour. No, there's not many children that are innately just terrible, bad, evil kids. We just make a bad decision that day. On that one day of that many lives of that child, one decision. And I just feel like if we can catch a child at the earliest time of making these bad decisions, then we can help them make better ones, so they don't turn into catastrophic ones. And I always wanted to be the person that caught them, you know, shoving too hard down the corridor or saying something inappropriate, and have a chat. I wasn't always like joyful with some of the things, because I didn't like some of the things they did. So sometimes I had to be really firm, but it came from a place of love. And I still have contact with those students now. You know, I still talk to them now. They're like 32, 33. Some of my first students are really quite old now. And I actually gave birth, and one of the students that I used to teach, his wife was giving birth at the same time as me.
No way.
So as I'm like really trying not to screen the place down, he was like, yes. I was like, oh my goodness, do you remember me? I said, yes, Abdullah, I do. He was like, my wife, she's in labour. I said, so am I. He was like, I know. I was like, I gotta go, I'm a bit busy. He was like, see you soon. I was like, no, you won't. Yeah, that was his first child. I thought what he was expecting, he said, see you soon. I was like, it's going to take a little while. Yeah. But yeah,
I actually love that because the way he calls you miss as well, like you'll forever be missed.
Yeah, I hear miss a lot.
Yeah. It's the I think teaching is absolutely, as you said, like a vocation, and it's the career that just reaps in dividends. You know, we all have that teacher who inspired us, who cared for us, and there are people who you have sown into their lives. You have taken that extra moment to talk to them, to encourage them, to listen to them, because a lot of children are never heard. A lot of children are never heard. A lot of adults are never heard, and that is a heavy burden to carry. But you've been the person who took the time to hear them, and they will carry that forward. They will carry that into their future marriages, their relationships, their friendships, their children, their children's children, and it will be. Remember Miss Jackman, or whatever your surname was, if it was before you were married. But you know, they will have that forever, and so none of that is lost. And I think one of the things that we kind of think about and talk about when it comes to changing careers is sometimes feeling a bit of loss. You know, almost like, because obviously there are hard bits to the teaching job.
Yeah, there is.
How do you deal with kind of, I suppose, laying that to rest? Like, to say you're retired, you're still so young. How do you deal with retiring from teaching?
Yeah, I felt really guilty.
Really?
I felt really, really guilty because I like that profession needs teachers, and it needs teachers that care, and teachers that will go the journey and see a kid's lifespan at school through. And I've been lucky enough to see kids all the way through. And have them come back. And I did. There was this real sense of, can I do this? You know, like, but then there's an ego there as well, because it's like, of course you can do this. Someone will pick up the mantle. There are other teachers out there. You're not the only one. Do you know, calm down. There are great teachers out there. And in my school, there were fabulous teachers. When I say I was the teacher that they could talk to, there were so many in my school the kids could talk to. They were really spoilt for great teachers. And I was just lucky to be one of them. But the guilt was hard. Like, I remember some of the kids, because they talk from their heart, right? So when you say to them, like, I'm leaving, no, you can't do this to us, or what's more important than us, or so you're going to leave us to go and do that. And that came out a little bit, and then after that it was, I miss, we're really happy for you. You've been here for so long.
No, that would.
My uncle says it so. My uncle told me that you were there for him as well, and like, you must have been here for ages. And I was like, I have been here for quite a long time. I think I'm owed my due. I think I'm allowed to go now. And even when I wrote my resignation letter, which was like, I just typed it up. I just had it in my house in the drawer. I kept thinking, is today the day that I send it in? Is today the day? And then there was a day I came in and something had happened in the school and the mood was a bit somber, and I thought, I won't give it to them today because it's not the day. You know. That's probably more about me, but
No, the guilt is real. The guilt is real, and I've never even thought of like kids laying it on thick. Stop. What's more important than me?
Because there's all the GCSE class. Everyone's like, what about GCSE class? Every year I have a GCSE class.
It's never
every year. And that particular year, I had a wicked GCSE class. They were doing so well as well, but I thought that's the time to go, right? When they're already the coursework is in, they are rocking and rolling. They don't need me. They like me and they want me in the room with them, but they didn't realise they didn't need me. They were so well ahead of themselves. So that was the time to go. And Ellie, who was my she came as an NQT. I just sat down and if I go,
what's an NQT? Sorry,
like a newly qualified teacher.
Yes.
She came in and I was like, if I need to go, are you ready to step up? And I think she was like, hell no, at that first gut reaction. But I think she knew that the answer was hell yeah. She was so ready. She came ready. She's a born leader. So I was like, come on, we can do this. Otherwise they'll hire someone above you. And then do you really want it? She's like, no, I don't want that. And I was like, you got this. And we just done this fabulous school play. It was amazing. And I was like, if you get to be head of department, you can do this whenever you want. And then she was like, so then I knew that it was going to be in great hands and everything was set, and I thought, okay.
I do think as well, things they somehow fall into place. I don't know, maybe it's me speaking from like a Christian faith point of view or something, but sometimes when we make this decision of like, oh yeah, I think this is what I need to do, and we start listening to that to that inner voice, and we determine for that to happen, the steps kind of land one at a time in front of us for us to walk along them. So, you know, you having someone that you can pass the baton to, you having an amazing class. And so there's this kind of duality of like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm choosing to, and I'm going to make it happen. And then everything else seems to align and say, yes, we'll make it happen too.
And that happened at the drama school, because I got to a point where I needed to leave there as well. I felt like I'd got such good stuff from them and would go back and get more. But I thought this is the time to go. And then I left and got representation really quickly. And then landed something nice quite quickly. And so I was then acting and doing acting jobs on my days off of teaching, because I went down to 3 days to allow stuff to happen. Because you have to create space.
Wait, say that again. So I went down to part-time.
So I left Mondays and Fridays free. So if something happened in the weekend, there was this kind of wraparound care for me. And doing that, a job came in for the Friday. I was back in London for the Monday to start school on Tuesday. And I was like, oh, the world just works for you, right? It will work for you. Not in a tantrum way, like, you all need to work for me. But if you're making a decision, it's kind of a sign that this is working for you now. And then I got a job came in and I had to turn it down because I was teaching. And I thought, you got to make a choice. You can't turn work down. This is acting. This world is so... And also, this team seems to be, from what everyone else is saying, a very fragile time in acting for various different reasons. And I was like, I can't turn things down, really. So that was the time to make that choice.
How did you, because for me leaving medicine or full-time work as a doctor to be an actress, I can kind of do what I want. I'm unmarried, no kids. I'm looking after myself, of course, you know, my family care and whatnot. But as soon as I graduated and I was paying my own bills, it was kind of like, well, what are you really going to do about it? But you obviously, you've got a 1-year-old at this point. You've got your husband, all of that. How do you involve them are they involved in the decision? How do you communicate it? Like, how did you face that?
So going to drama school, no, they weren't really involved. I went straight in on my own.
I love that.
Because, you know, if too many cooks spoil the broth.
So many opinions.
And we all are speaking from our own ego and our own needs. But I was a 40-year-old woman. I have my own needs and I need to meet them and I don't need to ask permission to meet them. It's an evening course and I know I can do it. And so that was my decision. That was for me. But then when I realised I needed to leave, I just said to my husband, babe, I need to leave. And he was like, I know.
Really?
And I was like, and I need to leave pretty soon. And he was like, I know.
I know it. How did he know?
He just knew. I think he just knew from the drama school. And every time I used to come home from drama school, right, we'd stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning just talking about what we did. Like I did have work at 6 in the morning, and I'd be like, we did this today and this, and I learned this, and this person was so great, and I think he saw the light in my eyes come back, and I think he saw the passion in me just revive, and I just felt like I was coming back to a sense of self. And how can you deny that in your partner when they're saying to you this, like, and you can see it in them. This is not just like I fancy. It's like, you're changing, you're flourishing. And he was like, I know. And I was like, how are we going to make this work? And so I'd been saving bits anyway, because I knew that this time would be coming. I wasn't prepared for how much money I needed to save for this time to be coming, but I'd saved a bit, enough for me to be confident to hand the letter in. And my friend said to me, have you got 2 months' salary at least? I said, yeah. She was like, right, hand it in now.
Really?
Because you have to walk out in faith. And you can't be scared, and you have to have the audacity.
You do.
And she was like, so if you really believe this is aligned with you, you feel as a woman that believes in God and talks to God, if you feel like this is rocking, then take a bet on yourself. I can always go back.
So true. We can
always go back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, right, so 2 months, that's there. Then I was like, even more reason to hand it in. So the girls, once the girls said, when I said, oh, mummy's going to go into acting now and probably a bit of directing and writing, they were like, yeah, of course, yeah. Like, they were just like, yeah.
Do you know what, as you were saying it, of like, I'm a 40-year-old woman, I need to do this, I'm making the decision for myself, I thought to myself, that is honestly some of the best parenting. Because I think sometimes and again, I'm not a parent, so there's absolutely no judgment to any parent. You know, everyone's doing their best. But sometimes it can feel like people are telling you what to do, but not doing it themselves. And actually that can be quite easy to do. It's easy to say to someone, hey, you need to push yourself here, you need to work hard, you need to go for your dreams. But then if mummy's not going for her dreams, then do you know what I mean? So even in that push and pull of like, oh, but I want to be there for my daughters, and my daughters have after school activities. It's so beautiful that they get to see that mummy has after school activities, and life doesn't stop when you have children, and you do need to go out and do these things for yourself. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you can show them.
Yeah, I mean, they come to watch me when I did the scene where that you saw.
Oh,
they came.
I'm just thinking how emotional I was.
So they were like, and then they came and saw me at the Globe, and I did for Marwa Theatre Company. And I was playing Caliban, and when I came out, my eldest was like, Mum, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you, Mum. And it was a night before my 42nd birthday, I think. And she's like, I'm so proud of you, Mum.
That's so beautiful.
And she meant it. She really meant it. And my 13-year-old was just like hugging me and saying, Mum, you did it. You did a good job.
That is so beautiful.
And I just thought, I want to feel like this all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Just walking in my path and feeling proud and knowing that others feel good for me too. That's a real nice mix to have.
So having been on this journey then from wanting to do acting, going into teaching, giving your all to that, and then saying, okay, I'm taking the leap now. Is there anything that you know now that you would tell your 21-year-old self? So that the self that was deciding between drama school and mortgages and whatnot, is there anything that you would tell yourself, or that you feel like it would have been useful to have known?
I would have started working knowing that I was going to be an actor someday, really set on that. And so when I was working, I was constantly saving for this event. And I would have seen work as a means to act, not work as a means to live.
Okay, in terms of what kind of work? Do you mean acting work or like job work?
Any work that I did, like the teaching, and I temped for a year, I wouldn't have seen it as like, I've got to work because I need money because I need to get this mortgage sorted out and I need to have enough money in the kitty. I should have been like, this money is for my acting dream. I should have worked with more purpose on that. It would have made my working day much more delightful because I know I'm working.
Because you could see that it was part of, it's the fuel that is going to let you drive the acting car.
Absolutely.
That is such.
Whereas I got stuck in, okay, this is for the mortgage, this is the light, the gas, and it was became very domesticated very quickly. The dream of acting just kind of like went somewhere else. And I became a full-time mum, wife, give myself over to this and let the acting just kind of like fade. But I would have kept my acting pot going on.
That's really good advice. That is really good advice, and that I think a lot of people can take, including myself, because I still work as a doctor part-time, and sometimes, I was saying to some of my colleagues who I did the show at the National with in Nye, I saw them over the weekend for Rufus's leaving do. It was Rufus
How long has he been?
10 years. It was such a good party. They did this whole they just showed us his work, his speeches. You had all these testimonials, and I thought, whoa, what a legacy to leave, and what a testimony of how powerful this medium is, and how much it crosses into other areas of life. And so it was really good to be there. And while I was there, I caught up with some of my old cast mates, and I don't even know what the proper word for that is. What's a cast mate?
It's a cast mate. I'll be saying that until I learn something new.
So I was catching up with them, and they kind of said, oh, what have you been up to since Nye, and how's it all going? And I kind of said, well, when we finished the show, I went straight back into medical work. I just booked all these shifts because I was like, I've taken what is, a mini maternity leave here in terms of 6 months of very little medical work. And so I really wanted to get back into it. And I kind of jumped back into it. And I had this almost crisis where I was like, what am I doing? Am I a full-time doctor again? How has this happened? I was just an actress on the grandest
and
stage.
You were great. I loved watching you. I took my friend with me. I was like, how is this girl just finished drama school and she's on the national stage?
It's a miracle.
We need a moment for that. Like, I texted you and you were like, yeah, thanks. I was like, should I just Did you read my text? This is amazing. Like, my friend was going, so how did she get us? Knowing Sarah, like, honestly, watching you perform, I used to say to you in drama school that when I watch you perform, your emotions are straight on your face. It's like,
oh, thanks.
And when you would go to cry and didn't cry, suppress it, it was the most mesmerising thing to watch. I hope you get a piece where you have to cry. And then you don't, because it makes me want to cry. Watching you, I was so proud, like a teacher mode now, but I was so proud. I was like, yeah, she's rocking it.
No, it's amazing to like be able to share that, because I feel like we're all, obviously we've all got different journeys, but when your journeys intersect with someone, like, you do feel proud. You do feel like, oh yeah, I've seen you before that, and now I've seen you doing that. I've seen you pray for this, hope for this, apply for this, and now I'm seeing it happen. And so it's a beautiful thing that we get to share. Like, I was just saying, our mutual friend Zarina has just got into Juilliard School of Acting, and when I tell you, honestly, I've not felt pure joy like that in a while. And she was saying to me that everyone seems to feel, even, of course she's happy, but other people seem happier than she is. And I was like, honestly, I think that's true. I think I'm happier for her than I would have been if it was for me. And there's something about sharing in each other's trials and, you know, jubilations that is so beautiful. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming to watch and all of that. But yeah, it was kind of like, you know, I'd had this moment where I'm on this stage and it's like, yes, this is where I was meant to be. I remember the first curtain call as the curtains closed and people cheered and I cried on stage, you know, just a little tear. We're not being too messy. And I was like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. And then suddenly the show ends and I'm back to working full-time medicine, and I couldn't really comprehend what I was doing. I was like, have I taken 2 steps back? Like, have I just undone everything that's just happened? Like, what is happening here? But the advice that you just shared, bring me back to that, is that that's still part of it. You know, my bills still had to be paid until the next job. I don't have to see it as this other route, this other thing. It's all part of building the life that you want to lead. And so I think that would have been really helpful and would have saved me from a bit of an existential moment of like, oh, whoa, what are we doing here? Which is,
I think it's good that you did that, because well, it's good to celebrate yourself. Sometimes there's no applaud, right? After you're in a patient's company and you solve something, you actually get to the bottom of it and go, I think I found the thing. No one pulls the curtain back and goes,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're meeting people at quite a hard time in their life, right? The hardest time. So you don't get these applauds. You're not used to being praised. You solve the problem, you get out and you find somebody else to solve that problem.
Yeah.
And I understand that, because in teaching you don't have time. I don't end a lesson and kids clap.
Yeah.
The next 30 kids are coming in. Next 30 kids, next 30 kids. And when the day's over, they're like, can we come in for rehearsal? Come right in. You know, like, we're not used to getting praise.
Yeah.
We just get the job done. So when you bowed, you went off and got another job done. You didn't take the time probably to bask in it.
Yeah.
And be like, she's on stage at the National.
Yeah.
Like, little Sarah in me is like crying right now. So you just get on with and do the job. And I suppose in a way that's acting, right?
Yeah.
Get the job done.
Yeah.
Move on. Save the accolade for everybody else, give it to you, move on. But I think you do have to celebrate it a bit.
100%. I think it also just, I'm a big believer in celebrating life. I love birthdays. You know, when people say they don't love their birthday, I'm just like, where's the trauma? Because we should be celebrating your existence. Like, what do you want about? What do you mean you don't like a birthday? We're going to celebrate. And so I think, for me, I really loved performing. And a lot of it was the applause. It was like, yeah, we did work really hard. And if you liked it, I love that exchange of like, you liked it, you let us know. And it's very, for me, it was very, it was almost like closure. And you're right, part of getting that applause when we'd be performing made me realise that in other professions you don't get that applause. You just have to kind of pick up and carry on, and it can be very easy to not recognise that you do deserve an applause. And I think that is something that is not a shallow thing, it's not a vain thing. There's a reason why we praise and we worship and we celebrate things. I think it's a natural process, and we should be celebrating ourselves and be celebrating the things that we do. So that for me has been a part of acting that I've really allowed myself to enjoy. That I'm like, oh yeah, this is a lovely moment. I'm going to sit in it, because we don't get these in teaching and acting. But yeah, so you when we first met, I knew you just as an actor. And then obviously I've come to know that you're also a writer.
Yeah.
You are a director.
Yeah.
You have recently and are still directing the amazing Song Queen Pigeon Opera, which will be coming back soon.
So happy.
How has that been?
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, getting to work in the field of opera, I'm not an opera singer, but my mum loves opera.
Yeah.
So we were brought up on a lot of opera, country and western. And so when I looked at the script, I mean, I'd seen it a few times before. It's been on a few times in different venues, churches, open spaces. And then when I looked at it in its entirety, and the creator, Helen, who is called Venus Bushfires, she gave me the script and all the language, and I was like, whoa, you created all this.
Wow.
You know, in pidgin and cockney and patois. She's got it all written out. And she was like, yeah, I just need you to shape it, scale it up. Let's go. And I was like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just fell in love with it. It's so unique. There's nothing like a pigeon opera out there. And I'm so honoured to be on the journey with professionals that are just chef's kiss. Like, everyone is so talented, super, super talented, super modest.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it. I'm bringing my mum to see
good.
it.
Good.
Really
Good.
And funnily enough, when you say, like, you know, hearing about your time as a teacher, that is directing. So much of that is directing.
I don't think people realise how many times a drama teacher directs a play throughout the year.
Wow.
They're just constantly directing plays for GCSE, for Key Stage 3, for A-level. It's like, they churn them out.
So what would you say is your hat, or do you not feel the need to choose one? What do you feel most?
Acting is my first love.
Okay, yeah.
Acting is my first love. But writing and directing is just a natural thing for me because there's not enough stories out there from certain perspectives anyway.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I get roles and it's like, has to be this, but can have, and then describe me. Or could be open to it. It's quite rare to see one that says, I want to go, and then they describe exactly me.
Yes.
So you got to write it.
100%.
Can't sit there moaning about it. Like, why aren't there any roles for me? And why does anyone want me? Write the play, write the film, do the thing that you need. Things are changing, but I think, you know, flood the market with stuff where people look like me, and hopefully that will change what's out there.
100%.
Yeah.
And who would be like? Do you have any people that you kind of look up to in the arts? Like, who are your?
Literally, I love everybody. I meet people, I'm like, Mom, I love this person. But in terms of like, I like everything the Bush does. Like, I go there. It's the furthest distance from my house. There are so many theatres along the way, but I find myself heading on other end of the central line. Like, I'm literally the other end, and I'm going all the way there because I love the way they champion new writing. I love the family feel there, the community vibe there. It's unmatched. So anything there inspires me. And there's so much new writing. And there's been a real renaissance of, like, black theatre, just like emergence of just like black theatre everywhere. Like, everywhere. Pieces where I just don't remember a time in my life, and I'm a big theatre goer, where there's been so many plays that are either about the black experience with black actors, or not about the black experience, but have black actors in them anyway, because it's okay not to fit whatever you were thinking it needed to fit before. So that's been exciting to explore, and I'm very inspired by that movement. I think that's really beautiful. But then I love most people I meet do inspire me in some way. I really do. So
it's
feel
not
that.
like you have one artist who you're like, I want to be like them, or they're the one who was, whose poster was on my wall growing up.
No, growing up was R&B boy bands. Tupac on my wall. I was like, that man has no top on. It's a religious household. I've got a guy with a bandana on and, like, saying thug life. That was my
Tupac is
yeah.
I mean, he's an artist.
He's an artist.
Lyricist,
Yeah. But I'm not sure if that was my theatre person. But no, everyone I meet really inspires me. Really, I'm easily inspired person. There's one person I looked at on a podcast the other day, so not acting exactly, but she lived in East London, moved to America, and made a big name for herself, Emma Greed. And she talks about East London being this great place to learn how to hustle, but also a place that...
She's not the one who does Skims, is
Yes.
she? Oh, I follow her too.
Yes.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Was she on Dragon's Den or something
Yes.
recently?
Yeah. And so I like her attitude towards getting stuff done.
And 100%. And there's something about seeing someone who you can relate to in that way. It's like, oh, they did it.
Yeah, they came from exactly where I came from. Yeah, this happened, and
they've created their own path, which is so good. And that is essentially why I love doing stuff like this podcast as well, is because there are so many people who are actually where you were 5 years ago, or where you were 10 years ago, or where I was 5 years ago. And so just showing that actually it's possible for you to get the mortgage, have the family, have the babies, and go into to acting and do what you do.
It's possible, but not easy.
It's not easy. What have been the biggest challenges?
Money.
That was so quick.
I need money.
You didn't even stutter.
Yeah. When people say, it's all right for you, but it's not right for me.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my goodness.
I'm just a working class girl trying to make it as an actor. Like, this is not easy. I'm not going to lie to anybody and say, oh yeah, you know, our drama school costs money.
Yeah. I had a comment the other day, and I pride myself, right, in being quite nice on the internet. I really tried to be really kind, to the point where I've had a YouTube channel now for 8 years. I remember having a really nasty comment back in the day, and I was just like, this is someone who God loves, and I replied to them kindly like, are you okay? And they were like, no, I'm not okay. And we had this really meaningful conversation. So in my head, I'm like, on the internet, I'm nice. Even if I get a hater comment, I'll be nice. But the other day I had a comment that was about money, and it was about the person saying like, oh, it's easy for you to say, oh, you've quit your job, but you know, how did you survive? And having made a podcast where I tell people so much detail about it, I wanted to respond, but before I could respond, they'd had this full-on conversation where they'd been saying, oh, well, she's a doctor, it's easy for her. And I was like, wait.
Nothing's easy for most people. Most people are this. We are in a struggling time.
And even like, I don't want to participate in the struggle Olympics. Do you know what I mean? Like this is the thing. Sometimes I think when we talk about privilege and struggle and hardship, I think that when you have hardship, you recognize that you don't want it. I don't want it. I don't want to have had it the worst. So if someone's had it harder than me, I will give them that trophy and I'll say, yeah, you've had it harder than me. Yeah. So I don't need to be out here proving that I was the poorest person to ever do it. But you don't have to be the poorest for it to still be hard, for it to still be a challenge, you know. You're not on... I really wanted to send them an essay about junior doctor salaries in the UK, about the working hours, about rent in London, about all of these things. And I just had to control myself.
Well done.
I did delete the comment. I was like, the way that I see the internet is, I'm like, I've opened up my home and you've come into my little page or corner of the internet, and so kindness, amazing, but if you rip a painting off the wall, I'll kick you out.
Yeah. Well, so I love that.
That's what I did. I was just like, this is in my head too much. I can't be mature and kind about this, so I'm just going to delete it. And then when I'm in a better place, if someone leaves a similar comment, I could. At first, their initial question was fine. It was more the assumptions that were really, really annoying, and I was sitting there like, I wish I could show you my bank statements to correct that.
No one wants to see my bank statements. No. I mean, I am a very low maintenance person anyway. I don't have designer handbags, designer shoes. I haven't got a lifestyle that I need to uphold. So if anyone's watching this and they're driving, they're paying off for their Land Rover and their mansion, then I can't help you. But I can just talk about the fact that I have a very low maintenance lifestyle anyway, and then when I knew I was going to leave teaching, I slimmed down as much as I could for someone with 3 kids and a mortgage. So my outgoings, I've really been strict with myself. But then I've never been lavish in the first place. It's a working class background. My mum taught me to just be grateful for what's put on the table in front of you. And that's how I am as a person. So, but it's not been easy, and the decision to go into acting, the guilt for the kids, but also the guilt that I might not bring home the money to support my family, to give them a lifestyle that I would love them to have. But it's the faith that if I go this way, then God will provide and he will make a way through it, and we will be okay. And if we're not okay, then I'll have to go back into teaching, and that I'll have to swallow that pill and do a bit of that to support that, or do something else, because my family are not going to suffer. But right now, what I will say is that no one's finding it easy, and to leave comments sometimes a little bit like, you know, yes, I slimmed my finances down. Yes, I'd saved a little bit to get me through a bit. I got some gigs workshopping for schools or colleges, and people that would say, oh, we need an actor for this, and then I'd go and do stuff. But it wasn't a lot of money. They don't pay actors a lot of money. And I did a lot of work for free, a lot of acting I've done for free. And actually one of the jobs I did for free got me my agent. Wow. Because she saw that and was like, I like that. So I'm never shy of doing work for free. When I work for free, I work like I'm being paid, and I do my best work. But it's not easy, and that's all I can say. It's not easy. You find a way, gigging, doing jobs on the side, bringing your budget down to what it can just about survive on, working with your partner, communicating all the time. Like, are we okay this month? Is everything okay? Like, what can we do together? And being super open about it. And when people are saying, do you want to go out to eat in this great restaurant they found online? I'm like, not today, but soon. And being super honest with your friends, like, this is the journey I'm on. I don't need you to help me financially. Thank you, though. I love yous. But I won't be able to do X, Y, and Z for a little while because this is my journey. And them going, yeah, cool. We're going Nando's, and that's fine. It's fine to do that. So, yeah, that's all I can say.
Yeah, no, I think that's really, really helpful, because it's that thing as well of like, yes, money matters so much. And so you have to focus on it. But then sometimes when you take a step back and you're like, oh, I chose this because there was something that was more important than that steady paycheck. So it's that balance of like, okay,
my happiness, my mental health, all this is more important than this beautiful check that I get that I'm so grateful for. But there's something in front of that.
I might be delusional, okay? I'm 31. I've got my whole life ahead of me by God's grace. But I really believe that when we put our passion, and I don't just mean like, you know, a job you're not passionate about, like, say if you're not passionate about working in retail and you're just doing the job and that's your life energy you're putting into that, but there's not the fire there. I think that when we actually do something, that we can pour the fire of what we believe we're supposed to be doing, the passion of it, the hard work, the dedication, the creativity, I think that money will follow that eventually. It might not be straight away, but I truly believe that you can build a life for yourself that way, because what money is the exchange of energy, right? It's in terms of like, you know, you pay someone for jeans because they've taken the time to make those jeans. So what you're paying for is the energy they've spent doing that thing. So for me, I'm really believing and trusting that, you know, obviously you've got the bills to pay, you've got the kids to feed, you've got the mortgage to pay, all of those things. But I do believe that the potential in doing what you really love financially is so great that sometimes we don't comprehend it. Like the student you had, for example, who's now making 3 times more than they would have if they had done the dentistry. So yeah, it's just about sticking on that journey and getting
and then being okay with, if I don't make that much money, what's the smallest amount I can live on? Like, what is it feasible? Like, what feasibly can I live on? Because look, if I don't pay my gas that month, then we have no gas. Like, it's not like I haven't got the bank of grandparents and parents. That doesn't exist for me. But I'm so like, it's so awesome that some people have that. And good for you, because I hope I get to be that person for my kids.
Do you know that's why I don't hate on nepo babies? Because I'm like, my plan is that my children will be nepo.
I want to look after my kids. I don't want them to say, oh, it was a struggle for me. This is not like a fashion. Like, to be either you brought up in the struggle or you weren't, and just be honest about it.
It's not a fashion. No. It's not like something that is, you know, 100%.
And I think my mum, like, she's really like, when I talk about this, and like, because my mum, she brought us up on her own, and the jobs that she had to do with no dreams. I got to have my dreams. She sent me to go to drama school. Like, I went and done drama, and I got to do it as a kid. Okay, it was £5 a session on a Saturday. It might have been £3 actually.
That's a lot of money. These days. Yeah, that's
1991. That's a lot of money.
Money.
And she sent me and my sister to go and to do. We did dance classes and a bit of Irish dancing. My mum paid for that on her own because she wanted us to have these things.
Those opportunities.
And she did everything. She was a childminder. She worked at home so that she could be home for us. She worked in a biscuit factory, a mattress factory, and another factory, I can't remember, it's just, I don't know which one it was, Sweetie factory. She just worked. She was never, ever without work. And for the last part of my time at home, she was a childminder. And she never moaned.
Wow.
Like, I'm sure she went through it. And I'm sure there were days where she was like, how? Like, how? And so I had that in me as well. I'm gonna make a way because I'm from good stock. I'm from like hard working stock. I'm gonna make it work, but it won't be easy. And just, I think people are thinking that we're saying, do it will be easy. No, I'm saying, if you're gonna do it, I champion you all the way. It won't be easy. Is it still worth it? For me, yes. Is it still worth it for you? And if it is, then find a tribe of people around you that
so
are
important,
starting out on the journey as well.
Yeah.
Find them, your community, because you're going to need someone to text tonight and going, I can't do this. And they say, yes, you can. You need people that are going to speak life into you.
100%.
People that are going to knock sense into you.
Yeah.
You need that tribe of people that are enacting, and maybe those people that just love you, and then people that hold you accountable. And there's one or two friends that give you the honest truth, and you're like, thanks for that, Judy.
Yeah.
So you need those people around you, but no one is saying this is easy. I don't think life is meant to be easy.
No, see, this is the thing as well. I'm like, it's hard work, but it's some of the best hard work I've ever done. Like it's so funny. I'm putting on my play at the moment, Schmedding.
Yes, I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, girl,
Could you have done that show if you were not a doctor? No.
And it's so, some of the stuff that I'm still tweaking and putting in and taking out, they are, when I step back and look at it from a writing perspective, I'm like, that is harrowing, but that is true. That is what me and my friend were talking about on the phone as 23-year-old new doctors, them telling me these horror stories. And I'm like, people, you know, we've got all this burnout happening, people don't know. And this is why. It's because those things are just normal for them. Then when you take a step back. But when I say there's been hard work that I've done as a doctor, there's this hard work. This hard work is truly like there's something else about it. There's not, the hard work isn't innately bad. It doesn't have to crush your soul. Some hard work, I think, lights up your soul. Like, yes, it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to sort this out? And it's hard and you're stressed, but there is a fire within that I think is really good for us, and that when we don't have that, we lack it and we miss it a little bit. So yeah, I think you've got it spot on there of like, yeah, it's going to be really hard, but it's worth it. It's such a weird.
Because teaching was really hard.
Yeah,
being a doctor is really hard.
Yeah.
If I go on about how hard teaching is, people say you've got 13 weeks holiday. So I'm not even going to go there on talking about how hard teaching is.
Do you know what annoys me about that? People should just go and do it. That really frustrates me when people are like, oh, this is that, whatever, you've got holiday. I'm like, then why aren't you one? If it's so amazing, why aren't you one? And they know deep down that it's not as easy as they're trying to make it seem.
Yeah.
So anyone who says a teacher's job is easy, please stop.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when it was COVID and people were just waiting for their kids to go back to school, that's what I would remind you of. How were you coping in that time? Because I know you didn't find it easy. Some did, but you wanted that teacher. You needed that teacher.
Exactly.
But also during those holidays, like I remember when I first started teaching, the Easter holiday was not mine because it's GCSE time. So I was in school working in the Easter holiday. During the 1 weeks, I didn't really see those times. I saw the summer holiday, but I made sure I saw the summer holiday.
I just think like it's one of those things where you've really got to choose your path. And hearing what you said as well about your mum working so hard, I think it's such a testimony and such a beautiful way to take the baton and run is for you to have seen that, to have been, that was the soil that you were raised in, was that of hard work and commitment and determination and love. And you've been able to take that and apply it in your own life. You've got that hard work, you've got that determination and that love, and you've not only got it for your children, but you've got it for yourself. Because our parents do all of this so that we can live too.
Absolutely.
And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that, like, we are someone's child. We also have a dream, and that is valuable. And I think especially as a parent, you know, you want your children to live their dreams, and so it's easy to just focus on their dreams, but actually to be able to acknowledge yours is such a key thing, and is such a beautiful thing, and is honestly, I think, one of the best ways to encourage your children.
So, I agree. I'm not going to waste what my mum's put hard work into. She put hard work in us, and I know that when she comes and watches me perform, or she hears me talk about a piece of writing or run it past her, I know that I'm paying her back a bit for the work that she put in.
Wow.
Because you can never pay your parents back. It's
impossible.
It's insurmountable. I can't pay her back, but I can try and live a life that is true and honest, and work hard, and then show her that I got this from you. This is you in me working. So you have to, like, I also believe that no matter where you are in life at the moment, there is always somebody you can reach out to. You were saying this to me earlier. Don't try and do things on your own. And it's very easy to do that. And I was lucky enough when I jumped out of teaching, I was just jumping, you know, I found my friend introduced me to a writer and a director, fabulous, Daniel Casarate at Queen's Theatre, and she got my first piece of work commissioned.
Wow.
And I didn't have any samples of work. You know, people say samples of work, 20-page documents, send me all this. It was a chat with her, gave her my idea, gave her a concept, and she was like, yeah. And that person just who says yes, like saying yes to somebody at an early stage in their career,
it's life-changing.
And I've met people like that along the way, and that's been beautiful, because when you start acting and you're not 20, people think you've been in the acting game for decades. So when people talk to me, I get the most amazing conversations. They're like, oh, and you know blah blah, don't you? Oh, darling, you've met this person. I remember that back in 1922. Honey, I just started.
Just got here.
I don't look like I've been running the show here because I'm looking a little bit old, but I've just started. I was green, tell me. I sometimes get out a pad of paper and just start writing when people are talking to me, and they're like, what are you doing? I was like, just so that I remember this later, because my capacity for remembering things apart from lines has gone. So I just write it down, and they're just like, wow, okay, you just started, wow. And then they say, it's the worst time it's ever been in acting. And you're like, thank you for that. Thank you.
See, I know this is going to sound really naive and ignorant and annoying, so sorry to any people listening to this. I just never believe it when people say that. I never believe it. Like, even my friend the other day was saying, like, the job market right now is bad, and I was like, I acknowledge it, but I'm like, I don't believe that for you, for that person. I'm like, you only need one job, and I believe you can get the one job that you need. And so I have that naive optimism, which I think is very annoying.
You need it in this industry.
You need it.
You need it.
The more that I learn how to, the opposite, the longer I'm in this, I've been, acting for 4 years now since I started doing the school with you. But the more that I learn the opposite, the more I'm like, I think I'm going to keep the naive optimism. It's so much easier to apply for jobs from this belief. If I go to that belief, it's very depressing, it's very sad, and you're not going to get the best energy out of me because I'm believing that there's nothing. And so I had that naive belief initially, and now I just choose it. And I'm like, I know it's naive for me to think the industry is absolutely fine, but I have to choose it, because otherwise the opposite for me is just not going to work. I can't go out there being like, there's no jobs. That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. What am I doing? Like, what am I running into a pile of broken glass? I'm going to run so slowly. Like, I have to believe that there's candy floss and joy at the bottom of where I'm running to. Like, it's just not going to happen.
Please, candy floss, please. No, you're right. And I do think you have to have, there is a certain, and I think that might come from our professions. We have to think the day's going to end up right. We have to believe in the positive day. Because we are working in quite stressful, high intensity environments. And I really feel like that if we didn't have the optimism, we walked in the space, the day would be done at 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, I need to come in thinking this day is going to be amazing.
That is such a powerful thing to decide, of this day is going to be amazing. I remember one time I did that. I was just in a bad place, and I was like, something amazing is going to happen today. And literally within 2 hours of me setting that intention, I had a call from Gareth Malone, the choir master, who's just great, I'd worked with before. And he just randomly calls me. He's like, hi, Sarah, I'm doing this show at Albert Hall. Do you want to sing? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, cool, you okay to do a solo, lead the choir? I'm like, yeah. And I was just like, what? Wow. It's just a random Wednesday. So I'm truly a believer in, like, what you were saying about people helping you and moments coming through, and and also just believing that today is going to be a good day. There is good in today. Even if it doesn't feel like a good day, there is good in today, and that's what I'm going to let lead the way.
Absolutely. And you'll find it.
100%. And just as we round up this chat, because I know you're a busy woman, you've got places
I'm on the school run.
Oh my gosh, can't keep you away from that. Can you tell us about Project 23?
Yeah, so Project 23 marries my love for education and my love for the arts. And I was watching Adolescence on Netflix. So I'm on my second time round now watching it with my daughter. And
with your daughter?
Yeah, and she's in year 8, so it's the same age group that we're working with. So I was like, did you know this? And she was like, actually, I didn't even know that. Wow. And we're watching it, and I was just called to action, as I often was when I was teaching anyway. But in teaching, if I was called to action, I could walk into their teacher's office and say, I want to do a project on this and invigorate the kids. But I'm not in a school anymore. But I'm still called to action as a mother.
Yeah.
As a human being, as all these things. And I thought, I want an evening of education about misogyny and about parenting and masculinity and kids getting lost in this world of phones and social media. I want an evening that explores that a bit more. So I thought, okay, let's bring together a panel of educators and social workers and trauma specialists and get them on a panel to kind of like bring the community together to talk about it. But let's have some new and emerging writers create short pieces as a direct response, a rapid response, by the way. They're writing now. They've got 1 week, responding to a theme or a character or the environment of adolescence, which is quite interesting. And they're creating plays. So on the night, when you come and have this talk, you're also going to see 4 sketches of pieces that are inspired by adolescence, just to take the conversation a little bit further. And I think there's a short film as well going to be shown as well, being worked on. So, and I just was called to do it. And it marries my education side and my creative side perfectly. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping that I take on your advice of like getting my team and crew together.
Yes,
so it's
absolutely.
not a one-woman show. But I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's necessary. I think as actors, one thing is that when we leave a job like teaching and doctoring, being a doctor, it is such a call to action, and it's such a innate thing to do, and it feeds society, and you feel like you're giving back, and it is so selfless. And then when you do acting, you don't feel that anymore. You feel I feel like that's quite and I feel guilty for operating in that place when I feel like I should be giving back. Because I feel like acting feeds me. So me meshing it together kind of sorts that out, even though I know that acting does give so much. I mean, just watching adolescence was
and but in many ways though, that is where the vocation comes in, and you carry with you all of that vocation from teaching. That doesn't leave you. It doesn't leave you. For me, when people would say, I used to not like the word vocation because it felt like honestly it felt abusive. People would use it in what I felt was an abusive way. If you were staying late and then they don't pay you, and you stay late like 2 hours every day, that's like an extra 10 hours a week or whatever it is, and it's like, oh, it's a vocation, and you just think why? But it's also a job, and it's also this. And so for me, when I felt vocation the most was when someone passes out on the tube and I go the extra mile, or I stay, or I do this and that. That's when I felt like I was using my knowledge and my ability to serve people of my own volition. So when I came into acting, I still feel like it's a vocation, funnily enough. I really feel that there's a story that needs to be told, and I'm using my talents and my passion in order to serve that. And for me as well, like when people will be, the privilege of seeing people in their last moments really shows you what life is about. And so much of it is about love, and it's about connection. So much of it is about being heard and seen, and stories being told. And we do that in the arts. Like for me, what took me into the arts was during the pandemic, and the Prime Minister saying like, oh, we're going to cut the non-essentials. And I was like, these are absolutely essential. They've gotten me through. Watching Netflix dramas got me through. So I very much see acting as a vocation. So just to encourage you in that, any moments of that you enjoy, they're not selfish. They're beautiful, and they allow you to continue to pour into our society. Like what you're doing with Project 23. I can't do that. That's not my calling. I'm not equipped in that way, but you're so equipped. You're so equipped. You're right in there, Tony. You're right in there with the connections from your former schools. You might not be there anymore, but you still know these people. If you ask me to get together a panel of social workers, give me a year. I need to text my friends and like, hey, remember me? But you're right in there, and your daughter's that age. You've seen it firsthand, the changes in our young people, and with phones in schools, and as technology has advanced and social media, and then to bring with that the art of storytelling, a craft that you have been honing. You say you're new to acting, but teaching acting is learning acting as well, in a way. And you're teaching drama, and you've been honing that craft for decades now, and you're building that into this thing that will serve our community. So just to encourage you, that's very much in service of all of us. And I'm really, like, when you told me that, I was like, this is perfect, this is brilliant, and I'm really grateful for that. So just the light, the passion, the talents that God has put in you, that you have curated and watered, that you've chosen not to neglect, that you've been brave enough to step into, Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Because it is so felt as well. Like, I can't express to you what a light you were in class as well. Like, just your presence was so calming. I think that's the teacher in you. You're like, oh, Tony's here, it's okay. Like, genuinely, I'm not, like, you're such a calming presence. And so, yeah, just to encourage you with that, with Project 23, I know that the location is to be confirmed. And when it's all out, I will add it to the description of this podcast. So if anyone who's listening or watching wants to come along and support
please do come along. Please, let's keep the conversation going.
100%. 100%. But yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. Thank you.
And for being on the show and for taking time out of your day, and also for all the encouragement that you do off camera and off mic. It's just so brilliant. And I'm really grateful to be to have you in my community, whatever that means, wherever our paths go. I really appreciate all that you've poured into me as an artist.
No, it's and likewise, like, you have to have a village. You're in my village, and I think we need to do that. And like, if anyone's out there that is wanting to do this but not sure, then reach out. Reach out kindly, please.
Yes.
But reach out, because I'll always be honest, like, it's not easy, but reach out, because especially as I say an older woman, I don't feel old, I feel really young.
I don't see you as an older woman.
But someone said to me today when I was picking out a perfume, they was like, this is for the kids, this is more for the older woman. And I went, okay, yeah, I'll have that one.
No.
And I was like, oh,
older woman.
the older woman,
insane.
okay. But anyone, going through that moment of like making that change, or feeling like, is this the time? Reach out.
Yeah, I love that. And you're on Instagram, is that Tumblr?
I'm on Instagram. I've opened my Instagram page. I am so nervous. My belly done a belly flop.
Did it actually?
I'd rather have Ofsted come into school. By the way, that's the teacher's worst nightmare. I would rather have Ofsted every day of my life. Opening my page, I was like, I did it, and then I literally danced around the whole house. I couldn't.
Really?
I needed to shake out the nerves.
Okay.
But it's done now.
I don't have to link it in the description of this podcast.
I probably should link it in. If I've opened it now,
fine.
let's do it.
So if you want to connect with Tony, her Instagram page is below. You can follow her work, from the Pigeon Opera to Project 23 and so many other bits and bobs. I'm just about keeping up myself. But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Right, thanks for watching, guys, and listening, and I will see you on my next episode of The Sara Show. Bye.
Bye.